Go ahead.
Yes, tonight we have Fran. She's from Ohio, and she's gonna show us a raw food recipe. I think it's lettuce tacos, and give us the recipe and tell us more about raw food. So thanks, Fran, for doing this.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be on Zoom doing this so you can, reach people all over. And want to thank everyone for who's doing the Zoom meeting and all that. And thanks to Hiawatha too, because I met her in 2007 for the first time at Creative Health Institute. And it changed my life. And she has changed my life. So, and I just give you just a real brief testimony of, I went to Creative Health when I had a skin cancer issue, just because I got wigged out about that word. And so I went there and I had like 15 books, and I needed to see how to do some of these recipes because I couldn't figure it all out. And that's where I met Hiawatha. And then a couple of years later, or maybe it was like 2 years later, was under tons and tons of stress. And I had a growth the size of a golf ball. And I had already been studying a lot about raw food. I loved it. I thought it was amazing, but the stress was pretty much taking me out. And so I went to Creative Health Institute, and in 5 days, this growth shrunk with wheatgrass juice, green smoothies, the sprouts, the Rejuvelac, all that. And it was like a miracle to me, because I had read all these testimonies and I never imagined that I would have that kind of healing. And then I think one of the weeks that Hiawatha taught, she really talked about toxic relationships and how that affects your body. And that really hit me. And I had to make some pretty hard decisions of what to do about that, which I did. And I've been, working on this ever since. And I'll give credit to my Abba Father, because he directs me in my paths, and he's directed me to all these fabulous people and places. So I end up getting certified as a raw food chef through Creative Health and Alyssa Cohen, just because I just loved food, and my family's Italian. So I thought, well, I just thought it was amazing to use plants. And I had worked as a nurse too at a hospital for about a year. And after that, I said, I'm done. People were so sick. And this was when I was in my 20s. And I came home exhausted every single night. So when I saw Ian Wigmore's testimonies in her books, I thought, this is an answer for sure, because I never saw those kind of, things happen. I'm not against the medical profession or anything. It's just, I was just amazed. So I ended up, like I said, fast forward maybe 15 years and came on to the raw living food, got to go to Creative Health many times to volunteer, and became, an instructor on raw living food. And I'm also a prayer minister. So I just wanted to, because I end up learning too that, well, if you have unforgiveness and bitterness and rejection and fear, well, your body is probably going to go down. And I almost think a lot of the time it's that first, and then the food can help get us back on track. So just wanted to give you a quick introduction of why I love this lifestyle and the food, and I never looked back. And no matter how much people came against me on it, I couldn't go back. So tonight I'm excited to share with you, I've called it Living Tacos, or taco lettuce leaf recipe. This is adapted from myhdiet.com. Hallelujah Acres I have a certificate with them too, to teach and things. So they have some great recipes as well. The first thing I'm going to make is it's called a sunflower taco meat. And I had given Hiawatha the recipe. So if you guys need that, then maybe you can send it out by email. I'm going to go over the ingredients first. So first is 2 cups of sunflower seeds. And I pre-soak these because when you soak the seeds, you get the enzyme inhibitors off. And then this recipe calls for, I'm putting coconut aminos, which is kind of like a soy sauce tasting. I kind of use this for about everything because it gives such good flavor to different recipes. A tablespoon of water. This is an optional ingredient. 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. I know some people are allergic to it and some people don't believe in it. It's not something I use very often, or you could use miso, which is a fermented like garbanzo beans instead. Then I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of cumin. And this calls for 1 teaspoon of chili powder, but I have taco seasoning, so I'm going to use a teaspoon of taco seasoning. And the thing with these recipes is if you don't have something, you can kind of modify it and do the best you can. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is, this is not on the recipe, but I'm adding some zucchini because I just don't like eating a lot of nuts. So I'm going to I didn't put a full 2 cups of nuts or these seeds, sunflower seeds. So the next thing I'm going to do is put all this in the food processor. So this will be the meat part. And you may not be able to see this completely, but that's what I'm doing. Putting everything in the food processor right now.
So Fran, you said miso is fermented garbanzo beans. Did you misspeak? Isn't it fermented soybeans?
You can buy a fermented garbanzo bean too.
You
which
can,
I prefer.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I prefer the garbanzo, and I found it on Amazon, which was kind of amazing. But if you like to go there,
Yeah,
that has kind of that same taste, kind of
okay.
a easy taste. So, and then let's see, the ground cumin again. I put 2 teaspoons. Smells good. Cumin smells so good. And then the chili would make it a little bit stronger, a little bit more robust rather than this taco seasoning. Then I always say to taste, because you don't want to, I think it's really important to taste the food when you're making it, because you may follow a recipe and then it doesn't really taste like you want it to, so you need to adjust. I'm going to turn this blender on, so I'm going to mute my voice for a little bit. Now, when I make this I'm using a food processor. I don't really pulverize it so that it's like a mush. I kind of keep it chunky because I think people like that texture better when they're, if you were eating ground beef, you would kind of have a texture to it. So kind of what that looks like. And if you don't have like sunflower seeds, I've also used, I think I've used different nuts, so you can do what you want. So this it's still kind of chunky, so I think that's okay.
We've done it with walnuts.
Yeah, walnuts.
Yeah.
And there's another one I've also used, but I can't remember right now. But yeah, and I'm always saying, like, do what you have. Like, don't go. It's good to just stock up on a lot of different things so you don't have to be running to the store,
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and get the next tray because this is the taco meat. And then next we're going to make the salsa. Okay, the next thing, can you put this down? Okay. So the next part is the salsa. And I already pre-cut the tomatoes because I just kind of wanted to save time. Now, I did add a few pieces of corn in here just to kind of give it some taste, but some people are allergic to that, so you don't have to put that in if you're allergic to it. And this is organic, which hopefully it is. You never know nowadays what they're doing at the farm. So I, yeah, pre-chopped the tomatoes, which is 2 ripe tomatoes chopped. Then I have a 1/4 cup of onion, and I used spring onion for this, but you could also use white onion or red onion, whatever you like. So I pre-chopped those up. And there is 3 tablespoons of lime juice and 3 to 4 tablespoons of cilantro. So I'm gonna put everything in this bowl, and you know, I know some people use knives a lot, but I just like to use scissors. So if you don't mind, I'm just gonna use scissors to chop this cilantro up.
We mind.
Huh? What? I know. That's not the professional chef part, but it's
Oh,
okay.
that's fine. That's the easy way to do it. Cilantro is hard to chop up fine, so.
I also have these, they're like herb cutters, but sometimes they don't cut as good as just regular scissors.
Yeah.
And then I'm just gonna add these onions to the bowl. I'm gonna add the lime juice. And it says to put 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So again, some people don't do salt, just you have to do whatever your, you know, body tells you to do. So I'm just gonna put like a tiny bit. I don't want to put that much. So then you just stir this up. I'll tell you, this smells really good. These tomatoes, what I don't know if they're fresh, but they do smell really good when you put all these different flavors together. So this is the second part of the recipe. And then I'm going to get the third part. Does anybody have any questions so far, or is that pretty good?
You mentioned coconut amino. What is that, like come in a small bottle?
It's like soy sauce, but it's made out of coconuts. So I think healthier than
Okay.
I don't really like to buy soy stuff as much. I mean, I might have it once in a while, but I don't, it have to be like fermented or organic. But this is organic coconut aminos, which nowadays I can find this at a lot of, this one's from Trader Joe's, but I've seen it at a lot of different grocery stores.
Yeah, Foods for Living has it in
Yeah.
East Lansing.
Yeah.
Sandy,
Huh?
Sandy, can you mute your phone?
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, you know, in 2007, you couldn't find these things. You had to go to a health food store, but now it's pretty awesome that you can find most of this stuff everywhere.
Yeah, you might even be able to find it at Meijer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Myers really has a lot of things. So the next one is part of the recipe is called a cilantro cream. So it's like the topping that you drizzle on. And for this one, I'm going to use a blender. So I just need to pick that up. And use a high-powered blender if you have one, like a Vitamix or there's a couple different ones. And if you don't have one of these super high-powered ones, I think you just have to let it run a lot longer to get, the same consistency. So let's see if I can put that in the picture a little bit. See it a little bit. When I bought this Vitamix, it had a really wide base to it, and I didn't like that because you had to make a lot of the recipe, and I felt like it never really did as well as my tall, skinny one. So I found on Bed Bath they have these smaller containers that the same blender. So I ended up buying like I don't know if this is a quart or 2 quarts, but it's much better to make small recipes. So on this part of the recipe, it's a half a cup of hemp seeds, cut half of an avocado, more cilantro, third of a cup of cilantro, 4 tablespoons lime juice. And then you can adjust the lime juice if you don't want that much. And then a quarter to a half cup of water to get it going as needed. And then a half a teaspoon of sea salt. I think the original recipe called for cashews, but again, I don't really like cashews that much. And I figured, I saw someone substitute hemp seed for cashews. So hemp seeds are, I think, probably, there are some health benefits to cashews, but these are pretty awesome for health. So try something new.
Macadamia nuts make it really creamy too, if you can use macadamia nuts.
Oh yeah, macadamia nuts would be awesome. So I put the hemp seed in. Now all this goes in the blender. So the cilantro, the lime juice, and I think I put this half of an avocado because avocado is really creamy too. So you can get a cream out of that as well.
Yeah.
So like I said, I like to substitute avocado as much as I can for a cream instead of nuts, because a lot of people, especially if they have heart disease, they just shouldn't be eating too much oils and fats. So my substitutes usually are zucchini and avocados instead of a lot of the nuts. And what I did was I cut the avocado in fourths, and then it makes it easier to take it out of the casing. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of water because I don't want to have too much water, and then I'll adjust it as needed. Turn my volume down again. Okay. Let me remove this tray. So this smells amazing as well. I'm gonna taste this because I want to see how it tastes. I don't think I put the salt, so I'm just gonna put a pinch of salt. Now, what I would probably do, because it doesn't have a ton of flavor, is this is just, I'm adapting this right now, is just put a little bit of this taco seasoning in just to give it a little kick. This
You're
is a-
using taco, you're
Huh?
using, you're using taco seasoning and you're not cooking it. You're not cooking the taco seasoning. Isn't
No.
that interesting?
This is a Frontier Co-op taco seasoning. So yeah, you don't have to cook it. No.
Wow.
You don't have to cook the seasoning, Janice. It's the meat you have to cook.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha. Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, you can use chili. The recipe calls for chili, but I used taco because I thought it would taste better. So now this cream, I like it better with a little bit of taco seasoning in it. So you can always,
Wow.
I think the recipe also called for green chili, but I don't really buy those very often. So I didn't even add it on the recipe. But if that's something you like, you could do that as well. So now you are ready to assemble. And what I like about like these recipes is that it's fairly light. I mean, there's the cream here and the seeds and the meat mixture, but compared to if you ate this with a wrapper and the meat and all that and like cream and all that stuff, it would definitely be, I think, a ton more calories than this. So I have some romaine lettuce leaves. That's what I'm gonna put build this together with that. Let me get my other page here. So first on the lettuce leaf, I'm gonna put this taco meat on it. Now, you could also just make like a taco salad and have a plate full of salad, and like you could, if you went out to eat or something at, like a taco salad, but this is a nice little wrap and it'd be kind of fun for some. So I'm putting, yeah, you can see this, right?
Mhm.
So I'm putting some in each one. Oh, pumpkin seed is what else I've used instead of sunflower seed, and that tastes pretty good with that too. And you can just, put however much you want. Then next, I'm just gonna put a little bit of, just a little bit of avocado. I know it already has some, but just like one little slice. And you can obviously build this, however you want. And next, I'm gonna put some of this salsa. didn't have the biggest lettuce leaves, so I would probably get bigger ones than this if I was taking it somewhere. If you want to make it better living, you can also add, you know, a few sprouts to it, because sprouts they are always living. So that's one thing I learned at Creative Health is eat sprouts. And probably one of the cheapest foods you can make, and you can make them indoors, like, you know, every day of the year, 365. So that's pretty awesome. Then my last thing is to put the cream on. And what I like to do for that is I just use a little baggie. I know it's plastic, but it's just a quick thing. I like to just put any kind of cream in here.
I love seeing your dog in the background there.
Oh.
He just keeps wandering around.
Yeah, she's investigating while I'm busy here. Yeah. So I just cut the end off of a little baggie, and then you can just kind of make it pretty, you know, just you can control it. I've used, you know, like those other things you buy at the store, and they just don't work, but I found a baggie and you can, and so this is your final product, and it looks pretty good and it's pretty delicious. So I hope you enjoyed this.
Lovely. Very nice. Thank you
I
so
have you
much.
a bit closer, so you know, I'll have to share with my neighbors, I guess. But yeah, any questions on anything?
I wanted to ask you how do you become a raw food chef or get certified?
I got my certification at Creative Health, but they don't have that anymore. I did develop my own, you know, chef certifications if anybody's interested in that.
Oh, I would like your number or your email or however I could get in contact with you.
Okay, yeah, because yeah, I think it's like kind of amazing how you can use these ingredients and make something that's familiar, and to make, you know, Italian, and you can use the same ingredients and make something else. And so I have 2 different chef classes that
Okay. How do I contact you?
let's see, probably the best is Fran at outlook.com.
Capoccio, is that C-A? How do you spell your last name?
CAPOCCIA.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I've worked
Yeah.
with Hiawatha a lot, but I'd like to get certified.
Yeah, it's the level 1. It's really a nice. You get a lot of recipes. I have Italian and have a couple different ones and that way you can get certification and then go from there if you want to do more. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Fran, if you ever need recipes, all the recipes from the earlier on raw food potlucks are on the website, cricketlot.com.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, this is the only second time I've been on. Let me write that down.
So it's CRICKETLOTT.com.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And just click on recipes, and you can search by category, like smoothies or, you know, Italian, or you can search by, you know, I have cabbage, give me all the recipes with cabbage in it. So there's tons of recipes there. And if somebody brought it from a recipe book, it tells which book it's from, so that if you see a lot from a book that you like, you can pick up the book. So
awesome. Yeah, I love recipes. I am always downloading raw food recipes still because it just inspires me to keep,
Yeah.
but on a daily basis, I tend to do juices and smoothies mostly, but this is kind of for special occasion. I would
Oh,
call
yeah.
that Asian food. And but yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, definitely. That's great. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, that's all I have for tonight. And
Okay, Brenda, do we have anything else?
Not that I know of. I just want to thank you, Fran. It was a great presentation.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah,
welcome.
great. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things. So.
Cool. Hiawatha, do you have anything?
Not really, but I can always talk about recipes because a girl came to my house and I developed a raw sweet potato soup recipe because she wanted me to bake a potato. And I said, I don't use my oven for anything but to store different things. And so I told her, I said, now listen, I'll make you something raw. She said, well, make me something raw. So I did. I made her a raw sweet potato soup.
Cool.
I have since given it to a lot of people, and several of them have told me that they just love the soup.
Cool.
Wow.
Well, did you get the recipe from Fran? The taco recipe?
I noticed Fran said she sent it to me, but Fran, did you send it to me via email or via text?
Email. I sent it by.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, why don't you send me that recipe, Hiawatha, and the sweet potato soup recipe, and I'll put them
Okay.
in the email when I send the link for the replay.
Yeah, and I tell you, I developed another recipe, and it's called celery dressing.
Oh,
I like to send that recipe too,
okay.
because it's a low calorie recipe, but it's very tasty,
Okay.
and it's better than a lot of these dressings that you purchase at the store. A lot of them at the store has that soybean oil and a lot of different oils. In fact, recently I was listening to a lady, and her name is, oh boy, Annette Reed, and she calls herself the biblical nutritionist. And she was saying that we should not use oils from seeds, that we should use fruit oils. She said fruit oils were healthy for us, and that seed oils were developed, and they were trying to develop, what is that stuff that they substituted for butter? Margarine.
Margarine.
In the process of them trying to develop margarine, they developed a lot of oils like canola oil and vegetable oils and so forth.
What's a fruit oil? Can you give us an example, Hiawatha?
Yes, for example, avocado
Oh, okay.
is a fruit.
I
love
love
And also olive is a fruit.
Oh, okay. Thank
Can
you.
anybody think of another oily fruit?
coconut.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
coconut.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Okay, everyone. Well, thanks for joining tonight.
And we want to especially thank Cricket, because we would have ended up really with an emergency because Phil was out of town, so he hasn't made it back yet.
Oh,
thank
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, Cricket.